Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over Tropical Storm Beta. Yes, we are into the Greek alphabet. Yesterday I believe we had three named storms that formed just yesterday. We had Wilfred, and that ended the regular alphabet, and then we immediately were followed by Alpha, and then Beta, and Beta is going to be the real threat for parts of coastal Texas, Louisiana, and also into Mississippi, potentially up to 10 inches, maybe even a little bit more over rainfall, and this is really just going to be stalling out throughout these areas over the next 6 or so days. So it's going to be a real problem. We're going to be timing it out in today's video. We're also going to give you a look at my personal forecast at the end of the video, so make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end. So let's start off here. I just want to tell you guys about my 1,000 subscribers Q&A and shout out video that I'm planning on doing if and when I do get to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for getting me this far on my YouTube channel, and really it's because of you guys that I'm continuing to do this YouTube channel. If you have any questions or you want to shout out, let me know in the comments. Post your question down below, or just tell me something to the effect of I want a shout out, or can you please shout out my video or my channel. So definitely, if you want a Q&A or a shout out, or if you have a question or you want a shout out, let me know down in the comments, and I'll be picking some of you to get entered into the video. I'll answer some of your questions. They do not have to be weather related, and also I'll be shouting you guys out at the end of that video. So let's get right into it here. Let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. We do have some tropical storm warnings, hurricane watches, all of that in effect currently for parts of south central Texas and also into parts of southwestern Louisiana. This is really the same area that got hit by Laura, which kind of went like this, and then we also had Sally recently, which moved somewhat like this. So Louisiana has really been in for a lot this season, and it looks like that's going to continue. We also saw Hannah, which moved somewhat like this. So we did have a lot of storms that tracked throughout this same area and made landfall throughout these areas, and unfortunately you guys are getting hit once again with this storm. We also have some red flag warnings for parts of Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and Arizona there. Air quality alerts in that gray currently posted for parts of Colorado, Wyoming, into Montana, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon, and then a couple spots there in Nevada and also central California there. And other than that, there's not a lot else going on. Be on the lookout for some frost and freeze warnings and watches to go up tonight and then into tomorrow for that very cold air that we're going to experience over parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast overnight tonight. So if you have any vegetation that is still out and you still haven't brought it in, definitely bring it in over those areas. The growing season is fast approaching its end, so definitely make sure that you are bringing all your plants inside if you have any plants still outside by this point. So here's your 5-day graphical outlook from the National Hurricane Center. We had Alpha, which was out to the west of Portugal and Spain, and now that one has dissipated. Now we have Wilfred, we have Teddy, and then we have Beta. So yes, we are into the Greek alphabet. This is the quickest we've ever gotten to the Greek alphabet, and this is only the second time that we've ever gotten to the Greek alphabet. We have this yellow area, which is off the coast of Africa, currently has a 10% chance of developing. We have what was Paulette, and that is going to be kind of curved out, and then it's moving back southward, and now that might re-strengthen. It'll be interesting to see whether they give this storm another new name or they keep Paulette, because it's technically still the same storm. That'll definitely be interesting to see. That one currently has a 50% chance of developing, and I think that one eventually, as it dips far enough to the south, it should reform. Whether it's still Paulette or it's named a different name, we'll still have to see. Again, we have Wilfred, that is currently in the middle of the Atlantic. Teddy, which is going to be moving up to parts of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Islands, and potentially moving up to Newfoundland. We'll still have to see. That's a little bit farther out in the track, but they could definitely get hit with quite some heavy and strong wind gusts. And then we have Beta there, currently has quite strong wind speeds. So let's get right into it with Beta. Here is the current infrared satellite imagery of the storm. You can kind of tell out where, or pick out where the storm low pressure system is, and it's kind of in between both of the areas areas of convection, and right now it's very disorganized, but still it does have some tropical characteristics, and it will look to form. Right now it's not going to be a big wind maker, it's really going to be the rain that is going to be the big issue. Here is where Beta is currently located. It's currently at 26.6 degrees north by 92.6 degrees west, moving northwest at, get this, 3 miles per hour. So it is just stationary pretty much over parts of the Gulf of Mexico. And even though it is far out off sea or offshore, it is still impacting parts of coastal Louisiana and Texas with some rainfall by this point. So even though it's this far out to sea, you're still getting rainfall throughout these areas, and that's what's going to be the big issue over parts of, again, coastal Louisiana, coastal Texas. This is where we're really eyeing for potentially up to 10 inches of rainfall in isolated locations. So definitely make sure you are listening to your local officials if you do live within this area. Now, here is the key messages for this tropical storm, which currently has 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. If you want to, you can read this and pause the video right here if you are interested. Now, here is the current track of Beta, and right now it is a tropical storm. It is expected to become a Category 1, maybe a Category 2, by the time it's impacting parts of Texas with a direct landfall. And then something that the models are doing is they're kind of reshaping this curve, and it's kind of parallel the Texas and Louisiana coastline, which means that the rainfall is still going to be over parts of Texas and Louisiana, but it's still going to be intensifying, and that's going to be the big problem. Even though it didn't make landfall by this point, you're still going to get the biggest impacts out of it, which in this case is going to be that rainfall. We currently have some hurricane watches in that pink, tropical storm warnings in the blue, and tropical storm watches on either side of the warnings in the yellow there. So we do have quite a big wind field as well with this storm. Here's the extent of those tropical storm force winds, and they are actually going quite out from the center. Now, this is not a completely tropical system. It does have some extratropical characteristics, but for the time being, I think they're going to keep this just as a tropical storm, just so that people pay a little bit more attention to it. Usually when they downgrade it to extratropical or subtropical, people don't pay as much attention to it. So here is the model track guidance with the storm, and it is expected, again, to parallel the Texas coast. Here's the general track of this, and look at this. The numbers on your screen indicate the hour or how far out this is going. So this is by 48 hours, and then here would be by 96 hours where most of the models have this storm. So it's only moving a handful of miles within this 48-hour time frame, and then here would be by 120 hours out. So this would be another day in advance, and it's only moving this far within one day. So it is going to speed up a little bit, but there's really no flow in the atmosphere, and there's nothing to pick this up and move it along, and that's why this is just going to be kind of sitting there over the next couple of days. Now, here's the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, and we're looking at quite high chances. We have about a 70 to 80% chance along the Texas coast, and I do think those numbers will be upped as time goes on. Again, the main threat is not the wind speeds, although those can still be dangerous. Really, it's going to be that flooding that's the big problem. Now, here is going to be the hurricane force wind speed probabilities, and we're looking at generally 20 to 30% offshore, 10 to 20% onshore. Now, here's the model intensity guidance for the storm, and we are looking at this staying as a tropical storm, and a couple of these models want to bring this to a Category 1 hurricane potentially. I don't see that right now. I think it should stay high in tropical storm, maybe a low in Category 1, before dipping back down to a tropical storm and a lower end tropical storm, and then eventually it should become a tropical depression as time goes on. Now, here would be your peak storm surge forecast from NOAA and the National Weather Service. We're looking at anywhere between 2 and 4 feet of storm surge at the highest, at its peak. Now, the good thing with the storm is that since it's going to be moving counterclockwise, since the water is going to be going, or actually it's going to be going clockwise, it's going to be going like this. So the water, if the low pressure system is here, the water is going to be moving this way. Luckily, we don't have any big areas where this can really pile up, and it's not going going to be a big deal in terms of its storm surge. The real issue is, again, going to be that rainfall. Storm surge, it is going to be a threat, although it's not going to be the main threat with this storm. Now, here would be your aircraft recon as of the latest check, and we currently found a 995 millibar reading, so that would knock it down a couple millibars. And then we also see some flight level winds of about 50 knots, which is around 60 miles per hour or so. So the storm is intensifying, and it is getting closer to that hurricane intensity. Now, here would be the European model, and we're going to play this through, and then we'll take a look at my personal forecast. Here would be by Saturday, and this would be in the middle portion of the day. Really, most of the rain is still offshore, so this would be by today, and most of the rain is still going to be offshore, but for Louisiana and coastal Mississippi and Alabama, maybe a little bit of rain, but the real rain is going to come onshore probably by Sunday, and then here would be by Monday. We're looking at some really big issues with the rain, where over 2 days, you're looking at pretty much the same areas covered in rainfall, so that's going to be the biggest issue. And then here would be by Tuesday, and then by Wednesday, it is starting to kind of pack up, but it is still moving. It's still moving over pretty much the same area. Areas in coastal Texas and Louisiana. Look at this. This would be for Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and Sunday. So you've been seeing rainfall for 3 or 4 days by this point, and then let's move it forward. This would be by Thursday, and it is starting to move out of the area, and then just some lingering showers over Arkansas and Mississippi as we get into Friday. Now, here's what that looks like in terms of your total rainfall, and we're looking at some areas in those pinks getting over 10 to maybe even as much as maybe a foot of rainfall, especially over coastal Texas and Louisiana. There, we're seeing quite a bit of rainfall out of the storm. Now, here is my personal forecast. This is a 5-day forecast, and we're looking at from today all the way until the 23rd, and I am expecting somewhere between about coastal Texas and coastal and southwestern Louisiana for a landfall. It depends whether it comes on land over Texas, or if it kind of stays offshore, parallels the coast, and moves off to Louisiana. Either way, still we are going to be seeing quite a bit of rainfall out of this event, and then eventually it'll become a depression, then extratropical and subtropical as it moves northeastward into parts of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, and we'll still have to see what happens after that with the storm. Now, again, if you do want to enter the Q&A, and or also if you want a shout out in my 1,000 subscribers video, leave me a comment down below telling me your question, and I'll answer it in that video. Or if you want a shout out, just let me know. Just ask for a shout out down below, and I'll give you one at the end of that video. So again, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.